Did you always have this dream of being a best-selling author? Did you put something like that on your vision board?
Not on my vision board. My vision board has a picture that says
Soumana Ammar, community leader and entrepreneur, best-selling author.
Your body will always guide you. You will feel something that is not really right.
How you make decisions.
Based on my own set of values. When you say no to what you don't want, you're saying yes to all the things that you want. What grounds us is really looking at what have we achieved and looking at it from a set of eyes of gratitude.
If our thoughts, actions align with our own soul and we live such a beautiful and happy life.
How is this serving me is a very, very powerful question. By 2030, 70% of the workforce are going to be a combination of millennials and Gen Zs. The UAE is actually the land of opportunities, so you'll have an opportunity to meet a lot of great leaders that are quite successful and they're trying to make a difference in the world.
Welcome to The Success Stories, where we delve deep into the stories behind successful entrepreneurs and business leaders to uncover insight you can apply to your own growth. Today, I'm thrilled and honored to have this conversation with this beautiful soul, Soumana Ammar, who I was looking forward to meet in Dubai. So please help me in welcoming Soumana.
Very excited to have you here in Dubai.
Thank you so much. And I know you from your best-selling book, Who Are You? So please let me actually ask this question. Who are you without your job title?
Everybody thinks that you will always have an answer for this question, having written this book. The whole idea behind the question or writing the book was to identify a purpose. So I'm somebody who was in search of their own purpose and currently pursuing a lot of actions that can feed into my own purpose. So you carry different titles as you move on in life, whether you're a sister, a friend, a colleague at work, a leader. So it shapes the person that you are. If you would ask me who I am, I'm a human being who's really very curious. So I live curiosity day by day in my life and pursuing a lot of what I can do to fulfill my personal purpose, to be honest.
Thank you so much. And what inspired you to write this book?
The book was I think it's a calling. During the pandemic, I asked myself this question of what would I be doing if I lost my job, because that's what the whole story started. And then it inspired me to share my personal experience through the self-awareness journey with other people. I felt that I needed to share that knowledge. I felt from inside that I wanted to show what I have faced, or how did I overcome few of the obstacles, how can I show up as my most resilient self, but also my most vulnerable self. Because what usually happens, of course, like during the pandemic or with, for example, the beginning of the year at the moment, when change starts to happen, let's say seasonal change or anything that is kind of different for us, we tend to think that this change is going to just happen and then we just transform. But the whole journey behind the change could sometimes be subtle and be just like little changes that are happening with us that we don't know what they are, or they could be very loud and clear and they guide us to probably look deeper into ourselves. So I wanted to personally share my journey, and you would laugh at me. I actually had the idea of having, I usually write a lot, but I wanted to have the book as part of a vision board that I've created in 2016. So I managed to just make sense of it after a lot of years. When the time is right, you feel like you just wanted to share it. And I'm very grateful that it resonated with a lot of people. Yeah. That subject and that topic, and I continue to just receive feedback about it, because it has a lot of exercises inside which can definitely guide and help others going through the journey. I go myself back and redo some of those activities.
I can really resonate with that, because I also experienced that kind of journey where I lost my job, and then since then, I ask this question a lot: what I'm supposed to do, what's my purpose? And of course, I know I have some skills, I have some passion, but it was very difficult for me to decide what's my purpose. And can you share a bit more about what helped you to discover your own purpose?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very great story that you're currently sharing, because we just think that if you're looking towards your purpose, you ask that question, you're just going to find it tomorrow. The journey of the whole idea behind like Who Are You, or the book itself, is actually more of a self-leadership and self-awareness journey. So when you're trying to identify what's your purpose, there's a lot of hidden factors around it, of course, like, for example, what's your values? Is there anything that is currently limiting you? Have you been looking at yourself from a compassionate set of eyes, or you're being very harsh and trying to push yourself in a different direction? Are you looking at wanting to make a difference in the world? What are you really passionate about, and how can this perceive itself? If you have identified a few of these things, what are you currently doing that represents them? Are you living up to those, or are you not living up to those? So that whole journey of self-discovery can guide you towards just getting closer to your own personal purpose, because the moment that you start to look into, for example, disempowering beliefs or things that have probably stopped you from pursuing few things, you start to really see sometimes trends, and that could be something that can definitely guide you into identifying potentially like what has been stopping you, how can you really move forward. Values, gratitude have been part of my personal journey when I was going to identify my own personal purpose, because it is not a destination, it's a journey, and it continues. So the moment that you start to get clarity, because clarity and consciousness are going to be part of your personal purpose, the moment that you get more clarity on it, then every action or every decision starts to be value-based, starts to be purpose-based, because then you say yes to things that really ignite you inside, or makes you feel like it's filling your own personal purpose, versus saying yes just because you want to be busy, or just because you want to be part of something that maybe doesn't really speak to your heart or mind, or alignment between your heart, mind, soul, or body, like the whole thing. So it is a journey, and then there is lots of unpeeling that needs to be done, and being ready for it is actually the most important part. Being ready to what could come out when you're trying to get deeper into your own self-awareness, and consciousness.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned that this is a whole journey, right?
Of course, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah. So you also mentioned about clarity.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot about clarity. We need to be clear about a lot of things, right? Can you explain more about when you say clarity? Is it about what's being very clear about my own purpose, or what I'm gonna do, or what kind of clarities are you talking about?
There is two parts of this clarity specifically. So for example, you might be doing something that doesn't, for example, ignite your soul, or make you feel like you're really doing something that is beneficial. So when I look into the whole clarity, like if you look at yourself at the moment, you're trying to think, as you've mentioned, and as we were discussing earlier, what do I want to do next, right? So there is a saying, right? If you want to go somewhere, but you don't know where, any road will take you there, because you don't know where. Correct?
Yes.
But if you want to really be clear about saying that this is a path that I want to take, I am ready to just pursue it, and with all the obstacles that could come with all the lessons that could come with all the happiness that could come with it, that is part of that whole clarity, to say I am choosing. So clarity is by being able to have the power of your choice, because now that you've got, for example, clarity on your own set of values, you're not going to say yes to things that are against against your own values, because now your values are clear. So if your values are currently clear to you and you're taking a decision that is value-based and you're actually going through the path that is going to be aligned with your own values, it's going to be easier for you to take that decision, right? And this is where clarity comes in, because you know yourself and you know what you want, and you actually, the clarity of what you don't want is even, for me, like it's more of a bigger insight, because what you don't want, when you say no to what you don't want, you're saying yes to all the things that you want. And at the moment, there are times when we're not very clear. We would say yes to too many things, or we would say yes to things that probably are not part of what we want to really be perceived as, or what really speaks to our own personal soul.
Thank you so much. And I interviewed some people who lost their job because of the redundancy, and they feel like sometimes they don't know their personal value anymore. They gradually walk away from their own soul. Do you have any suggestion for people who are not knowing their own personal values?
So the thing is, there is the personal value of that person is the weight of how do they see themselves. So it's their self-worth. Mm-hmm. When you say personal value, if I understand you correctly, we're talking about self-worth, right? So am I worth it? Do I have any value? Because I have been looking at myself as only my job. Right? Whereas what the values that I'm talking about is the set of values that really shape me as a human being. Correct? Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I would actually advise everybody to look at is, where is this self-worthlessness coming from, right? So why didn't I feel that I am worthy? Because if I lost that job, and that it was probably 90% of my whole life, I was only being perceived as that specific person with that specific job. But it was too fast, life was happening too quickly for me, and I didn't have the chance to that's the reason why during the pandemic, when people lost their job, they didn't know what else they could do, because there has been so many other things that they could have been part of their life, but they have just not looked at it from that angle or that perspective. So the first step is to really identify a little bit, digging deeper, probably speaking to a specialist. It could be somebody in the field of personal development, a coach, a mentor, somebody who is maybe a doctor, anybody who can really guide you into the identification of where's that self-worth. Why am I just presenting myself as that person without the rest of myself? What grounds us is really looking at what have we achieved and looking at it from a set of eyes of gratitude. I cannot really reiterate more on, okay, so you lost your job. What else do you have, right? Can you identify a few of the other things that you currently have that have been shaping you into the person that you are, that you haven't seen, right? So looking into it from that angle. And again, identifying what has been limiting us, as well as our own set of values, can be a guiding way towards that. But when we lose our job, we also we go through that whole journey of why did we lose it, why it was me, and then little by little, so many of the people, not specifically when we lose the job, but also when we're redirected into anything in our life, that the redirection, it could be a new path that is opening for us, but we probably do not see it at that specific moment because we're in that moment, right? So if we really look at it from a different angle, I always say, a helicopter view of the whole situation, it might change. So there is a lot of work that could be done to support.
Thank you so much. I think it's very valuable for people who are facing this kind of redundancy, especially now we already in 2025, and there will be a lot of redundancy happen as well. So a lot of people might face what I'm supposed to do. And actually this reminds me this very famous quote, which is, we have two most important days in our lives. First, the day we are born, and the second, and why we are born.
The day we know why.
Yeah, know why. I really like this quote, and because recently I've been in the last 2 years, I've been always thinking about what I'm supposed to do, and sometimes decision making is being a little bit difficult for me. And you also mentioned about decision making, and earlier you mentioned being clear about like your path. So can you share a little bit more about your decision making process, how you make decisions?
Yeah. There are some that are just very quick, based on experience, but there are others where I'm struggling. For example, to get a decision, I have different types of processes, but mainly, if I want to just sum it up, I always try as much as I can to really take my decisions that are value based on my own set of values. So if it is not value based, I will always feel that if I'm taking that decision, my body will always guide you. Your body will always guide you. You will feel something that is not really right. You know, when you have that emotion, it's like there is something that's not right. I'm taking that decision, but I don't feel right about it, right? Because there is something that is currently not aligning with you or with your own set of values or what you're currently like standing for. So I try as much as I can in my life to really if it's a very, very important decision, because there are these quick decisions that you probably need to take where it's just your day-to-day life, whereas the most important decisions that are going to be probably life-changing, or they're going to get you into if you take that decision, it's going to take you on a different path. I try to really align it with my own values, and when I need to really have some guidance, I am a meditator, honestly, and then I also take some time to really sit in silence and reflect a lot if I really need to take a certain decision that's kind of life-changing on a bigger scale. So I allow myself to just go through it and to really be guided from inside in order for me to take that decision. Little by little, as you move on, you start to trust your instinct as well, right? So I always call that our intuition plays a huge important role, and I really speak about intuition in the book because we underestimate that intuition. You know that feeling that you sometimes have in your stomach that it's you're very exciting, or the other way around. We sometimes do not trust that intuition. So yeah, intuition and really spending time with yourself, with whatever, let's say, type of spending you do with yourself, whether you want to journal on it, whether you want to just walk and think about it, all these kind of things can also definitely guide you. The thing is, you don't really need to rush to identify your purpose, because you're on the path of probably wanting to know what you're going to do next. What you're going to do next doesn't have to be just identifying your own personal purpose tomorrow, right? So allowing these things to unfold in your life in order for you to be able to get closer to what you want to do is going to be that. So the path of self-awareness is going to guide you through the journey towards your own personal purpose, right? Or your why. Yeah. But it's not going to be the other way around. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get clarity on your why or your personal purpose. It's not a tick box. It's a path. It's a journey.
That's I can totally resonate with that, and thank you so much for explaining more about it. And I think intuition is being spoken by a lot of business leaders and
Correct.
Successful people, because it leads us to make a right decision, and which is more common within these speakers or entrepreneurs like yourself or leaders like yourself. They are meditators. They do meditation, and it really helps us to maybe align with our own soul, and then it can develop us to listen to more our intuition. And yeah, I can totally agree with that. And actually, I can think of my own path as well. When I've tried so many things, like business ideas, just on the way of finding what's my purpose. And it's leading towards what I enjoy more and where I'm good at, etc. After writing this book, what's happened, and how are you still discovering your purpose, or it's already
It's always a work in progress, 100%. Thank you for sharing your own personal journey and the insights on, of course, listening to ourselves. So yes, I have a clarity on wanting to be in the personal development field. I'm a hotelier, so I also have a role in a company where I also work closely with people. But with every interaction that I have, whether it's at work or whether with anybody that is outside of work, or whether in a podcast podcast like that, or if I am delivering a speech, or if I'm delivering a workshop, I always make sure that I am currently coming across as the most authentic self that I am. So that's quite important. So that's me living my purpose, right? So it's not like, okay, I'm going to just go and open my own thing and then just go and do personal development and that's it. It's not that. It's about being able to really show up as your most authentic self, delivering on that specific purpose. So trying to say yes to the things that can really lead, for example, for me, being in the personal development field, or maybe trying to help other people identify their own strength and what they could do, is something that makes me really feel very happy. If you can really see it in my eyes when I'm speaking about it, I start to move my hands. So I'm very passionate about this subject, because people can, for example, become whoever they want to be, and they can always unlock a lot of potential. It's probably a word that is probably used a lot, but it's actually very, very true. And they can do it one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. So do I live my purpose? I try to live my purpose every single day. I want to share just a story. I was coming here to your podcast today, and there was the driver who was picking me up from, I picked up an app so that we don't have to advertise. And then I picked up the car and I said, how long it's going to take us? I think it's going to be like this amount of time as per my Google Maps, right? And then he said, yes, by the way, today is my first day at work. And I say, okay, congratulations. Like, no, it's not my first day of driving, but it's my first day to really drive this car, because this car, my mom, she gifted it to me. And he said his mom is between his country and today. And then she gifted it to me, but I've been driving for 14 years, but today is my first day. And I just wanted to tell you, I'm very proud that it's my first day because my mom gave me that, right? So I am thinking behind what he's really saying. So he's very proud. He's identified that he used to work. I started to have a conversation. I like to have conversations with the drivers, because they share a lot of their stories and with their about their families and what's really going on with their day. Yeah. And then he's like, and he's really feeling very proud, very happy, because he's kind of now, he feels like he used to work for a company, but now he has his own car. He feels he's identified kind of like wanting to be this driver that has something that is belonging to him. So it is about being able, like he was speaking himself, he was being authentic. He didn't have to need to have a conversation with me, but he wanted to have that conversation and share something. And that's very small story, is about somebody who's living based on what they felt really was very valuable to them, right? So having something on their own could be part of his own set of values, or being purposely feeling like, I have my own car, I'm able to do it on my own, I'm not driving someone else's car. And that it could be that simple, right? It's that discussion of us being able to authentically really have those moments of conversations with different people from all parts of life, and saying, that's great, this is like amazing, that's great potential. That was me living my purpose of pushing that guy to really feel very proud. So it might be out of context, because we're not speaking about leadership or companies, but it is in every interaction that you would have with people.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's a beautiful story. Actually, if our thoughts, actions align with our own soul, and we live such a beautiful and happy life. So sometimes you might face social anxiety, or some parents' decision to say you shouldn't be model, you shouldn't be a chef, or something like that. And then if they don't do it, they are not happy. But if they can choose what their soul telling to them, and I think they live such a wonderful and fulfilling life. So it doesn't need to be like a leader or successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely. It's just something that makes you feel happy. And sometimes it doesn't have to be 100% what is you're doing the whole time. It could be that you're probably doing something, but also you're doing something else that makes you really feel quite fulfilled and happy and part of a community, or it's just part of your life. I have a concept in the book that I call Rubik's Cube. So I say that you don't have to be one thing. You're like a Rubik's Cube with a lot of different colors, and you can like shape them around as you really want. And that's basically your talents, your skills, your ability to kind of take decisions. No one is you, and that is your power. You've heard that saying before. But what I also always tell the people, you are not your title. You are the person behind that title. We need to tend to remember that we are the person behind whatever title is being given to us. And then if we really come from that main perspective, you always will be looking at it from a human sense, right? So I'm the human behind that title, behind that job, behind that career, behind that title of a friend. I'm a human.
Like, because I just came from Mind Valley event.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's Dr. Shefali. I think you know her.
I like her.
Yeah, she came with a very good speech. I love that speech. It's about like unmask. So of course, we wear so many masks in life,
Correct.
like job titles. Some of us like wife, mom, or sister, like all different kinds
Correct.
of masks. But it's just a mask. But like we are a human being, and we are like probably these job titles or positions. It's just part of us, but it doesn't represent whole us. So. Yeah, you wear so many masks as well. You are a hospitality leader, you are a community leader and entrepreneur, best-selling author, and now you started your new business. And can you tell a bit more about your new venture?
Yeah, so it's actually not a business. It's more of like a contribution back to the community. So thank you for bringing this up. It's very, very exciting. After publishing a book, probably you expect to just publish another book, or you really work on, maybe I will. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was something that was at the end of I was pursuing my executive MBA, and then through it, I had an opportunity to be reverse mentors by Generation Z, some students and some who were out of the school. And during that reverse mentorship experience, which I've actually wanted to have with the younger generation, to be identifying, for example, trends, technology, maybe they can tell you a lot of like how they like to be led, and so many other factors. I learned a lot. And I've decided with one of those mentors to pursue a platform and our new podcast that's going to be airing by end of January about the generational discussions. So it's more of intergenerational dialogues where we want to really give everybody a platform where they can be heard, regardless of whatever generation they are, in order to really start to speak about this subject, because there's a lot of hype on so many other topics, but we tend to forget that everything else is going to also be driven by a lot of these generations, right? So there is, by 2030, 70% of the workforce are going to be a combination of millennials and Gen Zs. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. How millennials lead in different sectors or are led is completely different how Gen Zs are, right? So with that being there in mind, we just wanted to have that platform where we will be discussing with different leaders or entrepreneurs, or even maybe people who are just starting their work, actually discuss with them on the trends, what's their current emotions, how do they really feel, and just give it a little bit of more light of what's the future probably of work look like, the future of the technology look like, what's the future of other sectors look like, entrepreneurship, venture capital, finance. We're looking at so many guests who are going to be helping us to have those intergenerational dialogs.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a good way of like contributing to the society. Now, like, of course, including me, a lot of people are start to interviewing successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, all big like names. But if you do that, that's such a great compliment for this industry. Thank you so much for doing that. And actually, you mentioned vision board. I do vision board myself. went back to your first answer. So did you always have this dream of being a best-selling author? Did you put something like that on your vision board in the past?
Not really. Not on my vision board. My vision board has a picture that says, how do I start and finish writing a book? I still have my vision board that I did from 2016. So that was it. That was the only part of it. I didn't really think it will be a bestseller. I didn't even think that it's going to be going viral with a lot of people showing an interest in it. I didn't. And I have faced, and I've probably shared it in other discussions with other people, I also faced an imposter syndrome through writing the book, because I was like, who's going to read my book? Who do you think you are? You know what I mean? And then I had to even work through it with a professional to really get out of that, because it's like, okay, if one person is going to benefit from reading part of my book, I will be more than content. And when I made peace with that idea, I stopped being very harsh on myself. So did I dream that it's going to be a bestseller? No. Do I dream to make a difference in this world and keep a legacy? Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Actually, a lot of people dream to be a best-selling author. Maybe a lot of them put best-selling author, New York best-selling author.
New York best-selling author. You need to sell a lot of books. I should put it on my next vision board.
But of course, being a best-selling author, you need to make a difference in people's lives. So you come from some kind of different purpose, not only title, but what you want to offer to this world, and it's even more beautiful. There are so many things that I've learned from you today, you such a great leader, and because this is a topic that I've been thinking about, always questioning myself, what's my purpose and how I can find my purpose. And you mentioned that it's not just one day transformation or one day Q&A. It's a whole journey where we discover ourselves. If we say yes to something that our intuition say yes, then we can maybe move one step towards our own purpose. And we are not a title. We are a whole human being. And so we can do different things, but if we can do the things which makes us happy and which makes the world even a better place, I think that's a good start. So thank you so much for sharing your own journey, and thank you so much for this book, such a beautiful book. And do you want to share anything else to people who are struggling to find their own passion or own purpose or own value?
First of all, I would like to thank you. I got to know that, I want to take pride of that this is your first podcast in Dubai.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're going to be able to have a lot more. Dubai is and the UAE is actually the land of opportunities. So you'll have an opportunity to meet a lot of great leaders that are quite successful with all what success really means, and they're trying to make a difference in the world. So hopefully you'll be able to have an opportunity to meet as many.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My take on your question would be is that really listen to the voice that you are having from within. There is a saying that I always go by: the dream has been put inside you for a reason. You know, it hasn't just been put inside you. If you're dreaming of making something, there's a reason why this thing is actually, it's not my quote, but it is something that I've read and really resonates with me. So always believe that it is there for a reason. So try to really pursue that dream with all what it comes with it. Because if it's going to be all monotonic and you know what's next, for example, if you know what's going to be happening tomorrow or the day after, it's going to be really boring, right? So whereas being visionary, trying to really identify what you really want, working towards it, you will be surprised on how things will start to get closer to you. So that's something that is quite important to really remember. You know?
Thank you so much. Please allow me to ask one more question. Actually, earlier when you mentioned that imposter syndrome, etc. So when we know there is something that we should do, or we want to say yes, but there are some kind of words or a voice in ourselves. Are you able to do that? Like we start to question our own ability or experience or anything like that?
Absolutely.
So how you overcame those?
Yeah, of course. I still have a lot of those. So some go and some come up. So it's not like it's gonna end, right? Because we're always gonna have that self-doubt starting to come up. So don't think that you just published a book about self-leadership and you're not gonna be able to just have those come up. Definitely, they will always be coming up. So absolutely, right? But when you look fear directly in the eye, or when you're really digging into, okay, how is this serving me? That's the question. I've learned it from my coach and I still follow it and I continue with it to really change all this. We call them limiting thoughts or limiting beliefs, right? Or disempowering, because they're taking their power, right? So I get curious about where is this coming from. I started to really work on that, and also to be able to say, how is this serving me? So if this is what I'm feeling, how is it serving me or making me closer to what I want to achieve? So really looking at that from that perspective. There are some that are harder, that they just pop up for you and you probably need to discuss them with someone. You want to really get insights or where this is coming from. So I always have support. Every coach has a coach. You know? Yeah. So that's one part of it. And the other part is how is this serving me? How is this serving me is a very, very powerful question, you know? And be curious.
Sure. Thank you so much for your insights. And everyone should have a coach and ask that question.
Trust me.
How it's serving me.
Every coach would have a coach, right? To just get them to reflect, right? They're kind of like a mirror for you, but with more self-awareness, insights. Where is this coming from? How is it serving me? You know, there's this type of questions that can, with silence, you can always also get a lot of insights on how is this coming, where is it coming from, and how can you really overcome it. But do they stop? No. You overcome one and then another belief would come up. It's human nature. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if anyone interested in knowing more about what's your passion, what's your purpose, and how you can find it, so you can check this book out. Such a beautiful book. Best-selling author wrote this book. So thank you so much for your time, and I've learned a lot. And thanks for sharing this to my audience as well. And I hope your new journey would be even more exciting and even more meaningful. And I totally believe in it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.